Today, some new efforts to crack down on illegal ATVs in Hartford.
Today, the city's launching a new crackdown effort, and it comes with eyes in the sky. Your reporter, Sarah Jordan, live outside the Hartford Police Department with what they're announcing today.
The streets safer, but if you're caught, your ATV could be gone for good. If you've seen ATVs or dirt bikes weaving through traffic or riding through Hartford, a new drone program is designed to address it. Hartford police will use drones to spot illegal drivers and groups from the air. It's a safer approach than ground pursuits. Once riders are identified, their vehicles can be seized. In some cases, those ATVs, dirt bikes, or mini motorcycles could be destroyed. The crackdown comes as cities across the state look for ways to curb illegal riding and street takeovers. Under Connecticut state law, ATVs are off-highway vehicles and illegal on public streets. A state law that took effect last October allows cities to destroy the vehicles, and fines add up fast. A first violation runs up to $1,000, a second up to $1,500, and anything after that up to $2,000. The mayor is expected to make that announcement at 11 a.m. We will be there and bring you the latest developments both on air and the WFSB app. Your reporter live in Hartford, Sierra Jordan, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.